Welcome to Fireside Giants. My name is Alex, and today we're talking about day 6 of OTA, some updates, some injury stuff, and some guys that are standing out specifically. Just wanted to break down some of the latest news as we are in the heart of the offseason. The Giants have a couple more OTAs, and then they have 3 days of mandatory training camp until July, late July, when training camp eventually starts. And then we got the preseason rolling around, a lot of action, but, we have a couple more days of organized football. And then we're going to be taking a little bit of a break. But nonetheless, we will still be here breaking down some stuff as we get closer to the 2022 season. And there's a lot to talk about, right? The OTAs yesterday, the guys who really stood out, in my opinion, Aaron Robinson apparently has been looking really good despite that one big catch that Wan'Dale had over him. But honestly, you're looking at that catch, a lot of people are saying two things about that play. One, that Daniel Jones' pass was wobbly. I don't give a shit. The pass got to Wan'Dale Robinson. It was in the perfect spot in the end zone. And that's all I really care about. Do I care if it's wobbly? I did have a little wobble, looked like it was making some moves. But other than that, ball got there, was on time, a great throw. And I don't know how we can actually say it was a bad throw because of whatever reason, because it wasn't a perfect spiral. So that's regardless of the fact that it was a pretty good throw. And then you look at Aaron Robinson. OTAs are not really supposed to be making physical contact like that to begin with. So Robinson, I thought, was pretty good in coverage. I thought he looked like he was in the right positioning. I thought he was in the right spot to make a play. Wan'Dale just made a better one. And ultimately, that's just the reality of it. I'll obviously show the clip here on the YouTube video. But when you're looking at everybody else, some guys were on the injury report in terms of having the red jersey on, meaning that they were not taking any drills, no contact. Those players were Kayvon Thibodeau, Sterling Shepard, Kadarius Toney, Dexter Lawrence, Blake Martinez, Nick Gates, Matt Pert, TJ Brunson, Colin Johnson, Cam Brown, Jamil Douglas, Richie James, Rodarius Williams, and Darren Evans. So, obviously the most notable ones, Kayvon Thibodeau. Kayvon Thibodeau got rolled up last week. He got slammed on the ground last Thursday, I believe, and, hurt his leg. So they're just taking it easy with him, making sure he's ready to go for, mandatory practices. And then, of course, late July comes around. They want him to be ready for training camp. That's the big thing. These OTAs, they're voluntary at the end of the day. Don't put your first round draft pick, your 5th overall pick in jeopardy already. Not worth it. So keep him on the side, let him, ride the bike and just kind of learn the playbook and get used to the coaching staff. I think that makes the most sense. Sterling Shepard running around, doing his thing. He's in a red jersey, but he's been catching footballs, getting involved. So I think when you're looking at Sterling Shepard specifically, I'm happy with his growth and development so far in terms of rehabilitation after the torn Achilles at the end of the 2021 season. I think that, he's a guy that will end up becoming a key role, for this offense in terms of just helping the younger guys get involved. We know what Sterling Shepard is, but the injury history definitely has plagued him over the past couple of years. This is probably his last year with the Giants in general. Kadarius Toney with the red jersey, that's totally fine. He had a arthroscopic surgery to clean up his knee a couple of weeks ago, so he's coming off that. And, I think, just better to keep it easy. Don't want to test that. Again, voluntary. So why put him in a position where he might be able to get injured again or, just put him in a bad spot. So totally fine. Dexter Lawrence, definitely looks like a hefty fella. I know he's like 360 pounds, huge dude. Blake Martinez was doing some drills today. He had, a pretty good practice. It looked like, doing some stuff with his leg work and just, bouncing over those little pads and stuff. So he's getting back into it, working his way up. Nick Gates doesn't have a limp anymore. That's pretty exciting. So I am excited about that. Wan'Dale has become a pretty awesome security blanket for Daniel Jones, apparently in practice, which you'd like to see, right? Wan'Dale, rookie, Kentucky, coming out, ranked 6th in deep catches last year with Kentucky among all college wide receivers. He ranked, I think it was 16th in deep passing yards. Let's see. I can actually look it up right now. So Wan'Dale, I think it was 6th. Let's see here. So Wan'Dale, yeah, so 5'8", 179 pounds. He ranked 6th with 16 deep catches last year and 12th with deep yards, 553, 3rd in screen catches and 4th in screen yards, 268. So, he's done a pretty good job making an impact early in camp. I am excited to see how he continues to develop. The video rather of him making that catch was definitely intriguing. He is a quick guy. The Giants are going to incorporate a lot more screen passes and passes in general behind the line of scrimmage into their game plan moving forward. Josh Allen had 100 passes behind the line of scrimmage last year. Patrick Mahomes had 170 almost, and Daniel Jones had 49. So you can kind of tell how the offensive system is going to change. And I do think that ultimately it's going to benefit DJ because pad his stats, man. Just get him more production, get those stats looking better. I think those passes behind the line of scrimmage, especially when you have blockers who can get out in front, is essential. So I'm very excited to see that. A couple other things. Daniel Jones threw 2 interceptions, but neither were his fault. Wide receiver Richie James appeared to slip on a sideline route. Adoree Jackson came away with it and took it to the house. Safety Xavier McKinney came up with a pick after receiver David Sills bobbled a pass. So, should have been a touchdown in a real game. David Sills need to be better there. Of course, we all have our Sills Army, badge, and hopefully he can make an impact and stick with this team. But definitely not a good way to do that if you're giving up interceptions that could have been taken out of the house. Saquon Barkley appeared to fumble. Allison Smith came out and poked the ball free. So Allison Smith, a guy who didn't really play much last year, but is making an impact clearly in a voluntary camp so far. I would love to see Allison Smith take on a bigger role and really make an impact, right? Like, he was a guy that was drafted out of Northern Iowa. Nobody really knew who he was. Nobody knew what he offered. He gained like 75 pounds from his rookie to sophomore season in Iowa. And he has some pretty good attributes. He's really quick, really fast off the line of scrimmage, got a little bit more size. He was dealing with some injuries last year. At least seems to be healthy now. So maybe he can make an impact at least on special teams while he gets used to the NFL. And, it's going to take time for a player that not many people expected to make a difference immediately anyway. Tyrod Taylor's looked pretty damn good, apparently. A couple of deep dimes on deep outs, one to CJ Board, another to Alex Bachman. So a couple guys sticking around after the Joe Judge tenure has run its course. But CJ Board also is a really great gunner. So I expect him to stick around just for that reason in general. And, some things that I really liked is that Daniel Jones has been really aggressive in practice, right? I hope he keeps doing that, focusing on building his skill set. If he throws interceptions in practice, it's because he's trying to be aggressive, trying to take risks, and ultimately, at the end of the day, those are going to benefit him, right? We need Daniel Jones to be taking risks, being aggressive. Let it go. This is the year he's got to prove himself. So why haul it in? Why be robotic? Why be conservative? Let that thing fly. See how far you can get it. Let's see, push the boundaries of his comfort zone. And I think that's where Brian Daboll's going to help him tremendously, especially since he said specifically, I think that's why you practice for a quarterback, especially. It's okay to make mistakes in practice. You touch the ball in every single play. Let's go ahead and find out what we need to work on, and let's continue to be aggressive as we can. Even back in the day, Phil Simms and Parcells told Phil Simms, go out there and throw as many interceptions as you possibly can, because ultimately that means you're being aggressive. That means you're taking risks. So that's what I don't want, DJ to be throwing a ton of interceptions, obviously. But what I do think is doing it in a controlled setting in practice where you're trying to make that tough throw, you're trying to thread that needle. That is where it's okay to make interceptions, because why? Now that ball cannot be in that spot. It has to be led a little bit. Maybe you have to stick on your previous read an extra second so your guy can get down the field a little bit more. Those are all things that play into being a good quarterback. But it's time for Daniel Jones to open up and see what we got. Andre Patterson has some stuff to say about the defensive line and teaching defensive line play in ways others don't. He said specifically, I need to know my guys better than they know themselves, because I'm not a cookie cutter coach. I don't want them all to do the same thing because they've all got different gifts. So that's pretty cool. I think that Patterson, coming from the Minnesota Vikings, helped develop Everson Griffin, Daniel Hunter. He's done a tremendous job. He's one of the best defensive line coaches in football. Let's see how he exposes guys like Dexter Lawrence and Leonard Williams and some of these other younger guys, DJ Davidson, rookie, to his style, because it seems like he's going to extrapolate on their strengths, which is really great. He went on to say, if you go to a store and you buy a box of cookies, they are all perfectly shaped, right? All perfectly round. What I mean by that is you don't teach everybody to play the same way, because my skill set is different than another guy. If I'm making them all play the same way, there may be guys in that room that the technique fits. The rest of the guys in that room, it doesn't fit them. So the impression of that, they're not good enough to play here. But if you mess around with the scheme within their skill set, then their ability to be a great player comes out. Is it harder to teach as a coach? Yes, but my job is to get the best out of every guy who has a blue helmet on, which is damn exciting. I am so excited to see Andre Patterson get to work with this defensive line, especially guys like Kayvon Thibodeau, Drew Wilkins, another coach who's coming in here, outside linebacker coach for the Giants now. Drew Wilkins said that if Wink could make a outside linebacker in a lab, Kayvon Thibodeau is the guy. Like, Kayvon Thibodeau is their lab-made outside linebacker with his physical skill set. He was the #1 defender on the board for him and Wink. So pretty damn exciting that we managed to get him at 5, plus Evan Neal at 7. Again, draft was a dream. Now we just have to coach them up and make them great. So I'm really excited to see how they can do that. Yesterday, really interesting little April or a late April Fool's joke. Steve Smith tweeted out saying that he joined the Giants coaching staff. I wish that was true, simply because I think that he would have been awesome for Kadarius Toney and Wan'Dale Robinson to give them a little bit of toughness. Steve Smith is one of the toughest son of a guns out there as a receiver. As a coach, I think he'd be pretty damn good. And I wish he actually was joining the Giants staff, but unfortunately not. He was trolling everybody, including myself and many others. That was really disappointing. I was really hoping that he was actually going to end up being there. So I think that he did speak with Wan'Dale a couple times during the practice. It seemed like they were having some conversations. I saw a couple of pictures of that. So that was pretty cool. Hopefully he rubs off some of that toughness on him and it pans out. But, this is really exciting, guys. I'm pretty interested to see how this team continues to develop, where exactly they grow, and how the coaching staff dives into everything. There are a couple more quotes I do want to give you. Let's take a look here. So I wrote about it this morning, and specifically, this is what Wilkins, the outside linebacker coach, had to say about Kayvon Thibodeau. He said, if Wink were to create an outside linebacker in a lab, it would be Kayvon Thibodeau. He has all the skill sets you look for. He can be a dominant edge setter, an explosive, violent, relentless pass rusher, and everything else you see that is required of the package. All those things combined is such a good fit for us, and he has taken it and run with it. He went on to say, as I said before, he was Drew's #1 guy, and he was my #1 guy coming out of the process. I've loved him since day one. That's what Martindale said. So pretty exciting there. Defensive scheme fit. Wink Martindale, for the first time, spoke to the media on Thursday after practice, which is pretty cool. He said a lot of good things. One thing that defensive back coach Jerome Henderson said, though, the other side of that is the ball has to come out quicker now. So hopefully we don't have to cover it quite as long. And if we can be disruptive early, hopefully we can help the defense play at a very high level. So that was in context with just the idea that, like, the defense under Wink Martindale is going to be very aggressive, a lot of man coverage, a lot of blitz schemes, and a lot of heavy blitzing from the safety linebacker positions, overwhelming the offensive line. And I think that's kind of like Wink Martindale's MO. He loves to put a lot of aggressiveness into his system and style, which is, it's a good and a bad thing. If, the coverage isn't good, easily beat. So we can really have to hope Aaron Robinson can stick to his guy in man coverage. But the idea here is, like, it's not a bend, don't break defense anymore like it was under Patrick Graham. And I think Patrick Graham tried to get kind of that cover one aggressive style a little bit more during the earlier portions of 2021. But it didn't work, mainly because our pass rush wasn't good enough, right? The secondary was back there in man coverage trying to hold on for like 10, 15 seconds sometimes. With the pass rush that Wink Martindale generates, he's going to want to be really aggressive. He's going to want to force quarterbacks to make decisions prematurely. And if your coverage can just hold up for 5 seconds, eventually someone's going to get there. That quarterback's going to feel the pressure. He's going to have to get it out. It can be good. It can be bad. But, if you have a good pass rush and you have a good secondary, it's definitely good. I think the secondary is a little bit of a concern because we don't know what Aaron Robinson is. I wonder if they're bringing some more veteran guys to help with that category. Wink Martindale did say you don't want to be shopping for cornerbacks in the clearance section. He kind of said that about last year's issues with Baltimore. All of their cornerbacks went down, and they were having a lot of trouble stopping guys because they didn't have the proper talent. They just were like street guys, come in there and play, and they still had a pretty good defense, but it definitely hurts in that sense. So you want to be a little bit more consistent. You want to have better depth there. But again, this is year one, right, of the rebuild. So we can hope that year two is better. Wink did go on to say, though, that he is looking for a head coaching job. So if he gets an opportunity, he's gonna leave, right? He's gone. So we have to prepare for that, and hopefully so one of those defensive coaches is ready to take over and implement that system and scheme and really uphold the standard that Wink sets. So I'm excited to see how that unfolds. OTA is definitely some good stuff to take away from, some good quotes and whatnot, but a lot left to untap. I'm excited to see these guys continue to develop, see how the injuries start to dissipate, and how everything kind of comes together. I really want to see Daniel Jones develop and stuff like that. So maybe we'll get a better look at that and how Brian Daboll and Mike Kafka are looking to build this system, and how Wan'Dale Robinson and whatnot are developing. So we'll give you guys all that information as it unfolds, as always. But hope you guys enjoyed this video. Quick little breakdown, 15 minutes, taking a look at all the main takeaways. The Thibodeaux injury, Wan'Dale really standing out lately, so that's a good sign for the Giants rookie, second-round pick out of Kentucky. Make sure to like and subscribe, as always, below. We'll catch you guys on the next Fireside Giants episode.